My husband accused me of getting pregnant to trap him, and it's tearing our marriage apart. I'm 32, my husband is 35, and we've been married for 7 years. He was my neighbor, and we had an instant spark. Our relationship felt like a fairy tale. I always thought our marriage was rock solid because of our friendship and mutual trust. But now, my husband seems to see things differently. Recently, he found out his friend Jeff, 34, got manipulated by his wife, 32. She secretly stopped taking her birth control and got pregnant just 2 months into their relationship, only admitting it after they got married. Jeff comes from a super conservative family, and she knew that. He felt obligated to marry her when she told him about the pregnancy. Now, he feels stuck in a toxic marriage because of his vows and commitment to their kid. This whole thing really rattled my husband for some reason. I'm 4 months pregnant, and yesterday, he asked if I was trying to trap him with this baby. I laughed at first, thinking it was a joke, but he was dead serious and demanded an answer. I told him we've been married for 7 years, he's already stuck with me, and a kid doesn't change that. He didn't like that. He said a baby trap doesn't have an expiration date and that my laughing at his concerns made him think my intentions weren't honest. He added that he used to trust me, but me laughing in his face shattered that trust. I had no idea what he wanted me to say or how I was supposed to react. I suggested we talk in the morning, but when I woke up, he was gone. Instead, I got a nasty text from his brother, 28, accusing me of getting pregnant without my husband's consent, even though this was a mutual decision. My husband's vanished, not answering calls or texts, and now I'm at a loss for what to do. Update 1, 1 day later. Thanks to everyone who commented and messaged me, I read every single one, and I'm so grateful. Reading your advice made me realize you're alright. I had every right to be pissed in this situation. My husband insulted me and questioned our marriage, but I was so shocked and upset that I didn't even feel angry at first. It took time for the absurdity to sink in. I called my best friend, 31, who's always been my rock. She came over with chocolate and was livid when I told her everything. After I vented, she called her husband, 34, a family law attorney, who came over and offered to represent me if I decide to file for divorce. He's drafting the papers on Monday. My mother-in-law, 66, showed up with my husband soon after. She practically dragged him out of her car to our doorstep. She said he showed up at their place late last night, claiming I was using the baby to trap him. Thankfully, my MIL is a smart woman. She tore into him and brought him home to apologize. My pathetic husband couldn't even look me in the eye. He mumbled that he's scared of becoming a dad and projected his fears onto me. He said he's not sure he's ready for the responsibility but promised to step up like he's some kind of hero. I rolled my eyes so hard. I called him a coward and told him to stay with his parents until I'm ready to talk. I didn't mention the divorce papers yet. I wasn't sure how he'd react, but he'll find out soon. I showed my MIL the text from her other son, and her face darkened. I don't know what's coming for him, but it won't be good. Right now, I'm exhausted and just want to curl up and cry. My best friend is staying over tonight, and we're watching dumb movies. I booked a therapist for next week, and for now, I just need to rest. I'm heartbroken that my marriage fell apart like this. Sorry for the sad ending, guys. Update 2, 9 days later. Thanks for all the messages and kind advice. So many of you asked for an update, so here's a quick one. Things have calmed down a bit. On the bright side, I had my ultrasound, and my MIL came with me. Everything's great with the baby, and it's a girl. I'm over the moon. My MIL is a gem. She was so touched I invited her to the ultrasound and is thrilled to be a grandma soon. She organized a family lunch a couple of days later. I was hesitant but knew she meant well and wouldn't make things worse. When I got there, my husband, his brother, and my in-laws were already there. It was awkward at first until my MIL asked if anyone had something to say. My husband's brother spoke first, apologizing for his awful text. He said he got caught up in emotions and wanted to support his brother. I explained how much his cruel, vindictive message hurt, especially since he knew we'd been trying for a baby for almost a year. He mumbled something and barely spoke after that. Then my MIL gave my husband a look, but he avoided everyone's eyes. Finally, she spoke up, saying she's done letting him stay at her house. She said she's ashamed of his behavior and would rather make space for her granddaughter than keep a deadbeat around. My husband tried to speak, but when she mentioned our daughter, his eyes lit up. He's always wanted a girl. He started crying when he heard the gender and tried to touch my belly, asking if he could come home and paint the nursery. I made it crystal clear he's not welcome and that he destroyed our trust. I said if I forgave him, I'd live in fear he'd bolt again at any big news, and I don't need someone who runs at the first sign of responsibility. He asked if this meant we were done, and I told him I'd already hired a lawyer. He started to panic, but I felt oddly calm, like a blanket was draped over me. Normally, I'd be a mess, but I felt like I was watching it all from the outside. He said it's unfair, that he just panicked a little, and now I'm throwing our life away and keeping him from his daughter. My father-in-law reminded him this is the same kid he felt trapped by not long ago. My husband claimed it was a mistake, that he was stressed. My MIL cut in, asking how he thinks I felt, pregnant and vulnerable, only to have the person I trusted most accuse me of something awful. My husband kept saying it was a mistake and that he just projected his fears onto me. I told him I was shattered when he left because I had dreams of a beautiful family, and he crushed them in one moment. He said he wanted that too, that he wants our daughter, but he panicked. I told him that's a weak excuse after everything he put me through, and he didn't even seem panicked when his mom dragged him to apologize. He had no real response, just kept saying he's ready now and wants to be with our daughter. But in all that, he never once gave a real apology. After a long, exhausting talk, the lunch ended. My male stood firm, saying he's no longer welcome at her house. He begged to come home with me, and I reminded him it's my house, I bought it before we got married, and it's my safe space, so he's not welcome. As far as I know, he's staying at a hotel now. On Friday, he was served divorce papers at work. My best friend's husband drafted them early, but I wanted time to think it over. I saw missed calls and got voicemails of him sobbing, asking if I'm really destroying our family. He even sent a teary selfie from his car. My friend laughed her ass off at that. My MIL called when she heard about the papers and said I'm doing the right thing. She admitted she didn't want my marriage to end like this or for her son to be so callous, but she'll always be there for me and the baby, we're her family. She tried to apologize for him, but I told her it's not her fault, his actions are on him. My best friend was with me all weekend, and we even did some baby clothes shopping, a little light in all this darkness. She and her husband have been incredible. I don't know what's next, but I feel calmer and confident I'm doing the right thing. If anything big happens, I'll update again. For now, I just want this to be over and to welcome my beautiful girl. Wish us luck. What do you think of this mess? I feel like it's a tricky situation. Yeah, the husband's a total jerk, but raising a kid alone while hoping to meet some great new guy to be her husband? I'm not sure. Maybe it's the right call, but if I were in her shoes, I might not have gone there. With such an awesome MIL who can keep him in check, there's some hope for the future. But I get the author too. If he freaked out over an unborn kid, what happens when the baby's here and parenting gets real? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Story 2. I adopted my wife's 3 kids from her first marriage, but now I'm fighting with my parents because they called my brother's newborn their first grandchild. I'm 32, my wife Ava is 34, and we've been together for 8 years, married for 5. When we started dating, she was a single mom to 3 kids, 2 daughters, now 10 and 12, and a son, now 16. I've watched them grow up, read them bedtime stories, bathed them, got them ready for school, and went to parent-teacher conferences. I fully consider them my kids, and they've called me dad for almost 6 years. My brother Ivan, 28, and his fiancée Sarah, 27, just had a baby girl. I adore my niece, and my kids love their cousin. Until now, my kids were the only grandkids on my side of the family, and my wife and kids have always been treated as family. My brother is their uncle, my parents are their grandparents, there was never a hint of them being outsiders. I was sure my family felt the same. We were at my brother's place, just chilling, when my parents showed up with gifts for my niece. Ivan laughed, saying Mom and Dad were gonna spoil her. Mom replied that since she's their first grandchild, of course they'll spoil her. My kids were in the living room with us, and I saw my youngest daughter's face fall when she heard that. My son and 12-year-old didn't react outwardly, but I knew it stung them too. Sarah tried to smooth things over, saying, "You probably mean first infant grandchild." My dad shook his head and said no, she's their first grandchild, period. I didn't want my kids hearing more, so I gave my son the keys and told him to take his sisters to the car. Once they left, I asked my parents what the hell they were doing, acting like my kids aren't their grandkids. Mom said they can't be their grandkids because they're not my biological kids. Ava and I were planning to host Thanksgiving, but I told my parents if they don't see my kids as family, they can host their own with their real family, and I'll celebrate with my family. I walked out before they could respond. Ava and I reassured the kids they're our children forever, and I'll always be their dad, DNA or not. My brother's pissed at me, saying I overreacted and should try to understand our parents' perspective. Mom texted that she and Dad love my kids but still don't see them as grandkids, hoping we can accept that so it doesn't ruin my niece's first Thanksgiving. I haven't replied. I said what I meant, but I'm worried I might have gone too far. Edit, I officially adopted all 3 kids about 4 years ago, so they're not just step-kids. Even if I hadn't, they'd still be my kids in my eyes. Ava's parents have no contact with the kids, they barely speak. The kid's bio dad is out of the picture too, he lost parental rights before Ava and I started dating. My 10-year-old has never met him, the 12-year-old doesn't remember him, and my 16-year-old wants nothing to do with him. Also, my parents were the ones who wanted the kids to call them grandma and grandpa, I didn't push it. What's your take on this? I think it's a tough spot. Most people might say, what's the issue? They're grandkids, period. Grandma and grandpa messed up. But if I were in their shoes, I'd probably call them my grandkids but not fully feel it deep down. They're not my blood, so maybe I wouldn't see them that way, even if I loved them. If the author and Ava split, would those kids still be his? Maybe he'd stay in touch, maybe not. And what about the grandparents, would they still be grandkids then? Blood grandkids are 100% grandkids no matter what, but with adopted kids, it's trickier. Still, I wouldn't say that out loud like the grandparents did. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Update: hey, I figured I'd share an update since things aren't changing anytime soon. Ava and I talked to each kid separately about Thanksgiving and whether they want to see my parents or even keep in touch. My son and older daughter are mad, mostly because my parents hurt their little sister's feelings. They said if my parents apologize to her and try to make things right, they might be open to talking. But my 10-year-old is taking it the hardest. My parents are the only grandparents she's known, and this really shook her. We explained it's not her fault, she did nothing wrong, and she's our daughter. She said she doesn't want to talk to them but asked me to tell them she's not mad, just hurt. I called my dad and told him how much their words hurt the kids. He said they didn't mean to hurt anyone but can't change the fact that they're not their grandkids, and the kids shouldn't be so sensitive about the truth. I hung up. I get I can't force them to see my kids as their grandkids, but their complete disregard for how much they hurt them makes it worse. I texted my brother, apologizing if he feels caught in the middle, but as a parent, my kids are my priority. I'm not sorry for protecting them. Apparently, Sarah talked to him because he apologized and said he wants his daughter to spend Thanksgiving with her uncle and cousins. I thanked Sarah separately for trying to save the situation. She's a gem, I love her. Thanksgiving will be at our place, without my parents. It's sad, but my kids come first, and I won't let them sit at a table with people who can't show them basic kindness or empathy. That's the end of this story. Got a feel for the author, his parents could have just called them grandkids. It wouldn't have cost them anything. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching till the end. Check out our other videos linked here, and good luck!